Good evening, everybody. I'm Cherri Gregg, and this is Real Talk with Cherri. I hope everybody is doing well. I'm going to give you a second to get into the live. Real Talk with Cherri airs right here via live stream every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. We've been playing between 7:30 and 8 o'clock, but given the nice weather, we're pushing it back to 8 o'clock now. I can't wait to have this discussion with you all. Please tag a friend and share this video. We're going to be talking to some young people about all that has happened over the past week or so. We're going to be talking about the aftermath of the riots, the looting, and the continuation. We are now on day 6 of protests and all throughout our city. So we're going to be talking about all those things. And I'm really, really excited. So please tag a friend, share this video. I'm just going to make sure everything looks good. And then we're going to go ahead and get started. A lot has happened over the past couple of days. And I've seen it kind of like, the Rizzo statue is now moved. Did y'all see that? Any thoughts about that? Please put them in the comments. I'd like to hear what you all think. And I tweeted yesterday because, I've been covering protests and things related to the Rizzo statue for the past couple of years. And I swear everybody has done petitions. They did an online campaign. They went through some process, to try to convince the city to remove the statue. There were reasons why we were told why it could not be removed and all sorts of things. And then the looting happened, the riots happened, and boom, it was gone in the middle of the night. What are your thoughts on that? Okay. What message does it send to the city? When you ask for something nicely, it doesn't get done, but you act a fool and it does. I think that says a lot. And I think it's a message to the leadership that we need to change some things. So tonight, we're going to be talking to some young people. We're going to be talking to some Black male leaders in our community who have dealt with some of the criminal justice issues that are at the very center of this public debate over equality. All right. Hey, Susan, nice to see you. Hey, Mike, nice to see you. Alice, thank you so much. Stephanie, Rashid, Coffee, thank you so much for tuning in. And please tag a friend and share this video. I'm really excited about tonight. So it does say that Susan Jacobson says, when it shows that direct action work. Yes, it does. Yes, it absolutely does. So I'm going to try to show y'all before I bring my young people in, because I'm about to tee them up right now. I was on the front lines. You guys probably covered, paid attention to some of the coverage that I've done since the looting and everything began. And I'll just show you some of the photos that we kind of saw. You see all sorts of things, and I'm trying to pull it up so you can see it close up. But there are some of the images. Everything started very peacefully, right? And then boom, somehow it kind of broke off and things got a little hairy. We saw, vandalism. I was down on Chestnut Street. There was all sorts of looting and things like that. There was actually an advertisement of a riot in West Philly. And later on, this is what happened. And so why did all this stuff happen? Why did all this stuff happen? And what do we do to kind of move the conversation forward? And that's what tonight is about. And so I want to bring in my young folk who are going to lead. I'm going to do less talking and let them do more talking. I want to bring in Akayla Brown. Hello, Akayla. Nice to see you.
Hi, everyone.
We have Charisma Faulkner. How you doing, Charisma? And finally, I got to bring in, I don't see Jonathan. I think I lost Jonathan, but hopefully he'll tune back in and we'll bring Jonathan Boston McCray on here when he gets back in. So first of all, welcome to Real Talk with Cherri, ladies. How y'all doing?
Thank you.
Yes, I got to bring there's Jonathan.
Here go, Jonathan.
How you doing, Jonathan? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can
hear you.
Okay, wonderful. So first of all, I want to tee it up with you, Akayla, because you and I had a chance to talk before. Just your reaction to everything that is happening, that has happened over the past week.
I'm not too surprised, like at all. I feel like the African American community has had enough of what they've been presented with. Therefore, if anything, I'm not surprised. I'm more so just like that's what it took to trigger them, and that's how I'm feeling. So my reaction wasn't wow, they're really doing this now. It's more so they're doing this now because they're triggered. They've seen what has been happening to their people for years now, and it was just more so of a okay, this is how we're moving. Like I wasn't too surprised at all.
Yeah. And explain that because you said, because when we spoke before, you said, look, there was a lot of stuff that happened and you were just waiting for that thing that would trigger the group. What did you mean by that?
I'm sorry, one more time.
You
It like
said
broke
that,
up a little.
yeah, I apologize. When we spoke, you said that there had been a lot of things that had been happening and you had been
Hmm.
waiting. And I'm going to bring Charisma back in here. You had been waiting for something to kind of trigger the community to take action.
Okay.
So tell me all the
Right.
things you saw leading up to this moment.
Well, yeah, it was a lot more things, but personally to me, my trigger, like when I've had enough, was when the white man, killed the 9 people inside of that church. That
Mm-hmm.
that took me out. Sandra Bland took me out. Mike Brown took me out. It's so many things that like I was just like, are you kidding me? But I feel like this one, where they actually were able to capture seeing somebody's like knee on another man's neck and having the man plead for help, saying, I can't breathe. I just my mom. Yeah. I think that took a lot more people out. Because those other things, I mean, they happen and you've seen it, but you didn't hear them that cry for help. You didn't like have people just witness it. 4 police officers there, 3 of them just sat there and watched another person be treated wrong and nobody intervened. Yeah. I mean, it hurt me. I couldn't even watch the video the first couple days. So I know a lot more people were done. Like absolutely done. And when the man that did it, he wasn't arrested right away. They let him go home. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No.
That's when you knew something was going to happen.
That's
Jonathan,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Jonathan, as a young man, 16 years old, you see this. What did it do to you?
It tore me. It just tore me apart. I was just it's like when I first seen it on Twitter, because I disabled both of my Instagram accounts. When I seen it on Twitter and I looked and I was like, I didn't want to watch it because I
Mhm.
said, if I watch it, I know that I'm gonna be angry and I'm going to be upset. And that I went downstairs and I was like, they put his knee on his neck and that he was crying out for his mother and he was crying out for he was just crying out to say, can you get off of me? And to be suffocated like that in front of everybody, which is a public lynching. I don't care how anybody describe it as saying it's not a public lynching because they didn't hang him with a tree. They killed that man and we saw it. And as a black man in America, it it just like it's this is such a disgrace because like number one, as a black person, and this is for all black men, number one, you already have the system built against you, and it's been like that for years. And then you have the city that I live in, you have gang violence, you have the killing of black on black crime, you have that. So you're targeted by the system, and then you're targeted by people in your own community. You can be walking home and be an innocent bystander and get killed in a crossfire that you have no association with. And then you have the police who's supposed to protect you and supposed to serve you, and just to do that to you. And then you have, just think about not just me being 16, but think about the little kids who have to see this. Think about his daughter that has to see it. And when she get of age, I don't know if they may have showed her the video, when she get of age and see it, she's going to be like, but why did they do that to my father? And when I get older and I have children, I have to have that conversation with my kids, because it's like it's always getting patched up and it's always getting covered. It shouldn't took this long for an officer to get arrested. If anybody in the black community kills somebody and they find out who did it, they want to be arrested immediately and booked and processed in the court of law. Now, I work for a judge who that I understand the criminal justice system, and it's just it's like it's just outraged because why the police are continuing to get away with it. We seen it with Trayvon Martin. I was 9 years old when he got killed. I think I was 9 or 8, going on probably 9 years old when he got killed. And then when he got off, I was almost 10 years old. And I was at a neighbor's house and I was just like, they came outside and said, he got off. And I was just in like disbelief. You see the same thing with Michael Brown, Sandra Bland, Breonna Taylor. She was in her bed sleep and the police went in there and shot her. That means I could be sleeping in my bed and may not know if I may wake up in the next morning and be shot and killed in my bed by a police officer. And it's just not police officers, it's white people that's doing it too. I seen Twitter. Twitter has a lot of videos of white people stopping black people because of the neighborhood they live in, because of the car that they drive, and it's just me trying to be a black attorney. If I get stopped by the police, are they going to kill me?
Yeah.
It's just it just angers me. And I think about the looting and stuff, people had enough.
Yeah.
And then the government gives you $1,200 to survive. And I'm not gonna say that's just the reason of looting, is because and then the media is trying to portray it as looting is just this term that just happened this year.
Yeah.
We saw the looting of the Tulsa massacre.
And that was,
in
and I'm gonna come back to you. I'm gonna come back to you, Jonathan, because we're switching over. I the point that you made about you being 10 years old, 10 years old when George Zimmerman got found not guilty, was not convicted of the murder or the killing of Trayvon Martin, sits with me a lot because I can't imagine how that helped shape who you are as a young man. And I want to bring Charisma in here. I know you were going out. Is your feed okay, Charisma? Can we at least hear you? I don't hear her.
I don't think that she can hear us either. She said it's still skipping badly.
Okay. I hope that gets fixed. And because I want to hear, so I want to bring you back, I guess, Kayla, when you hear this, I mean, because that's an interesting point, because how old were you when all this whole Black Lives Matter movement really got moving and you started seeing the succession of, Black people dying in this way?
Right. See, when Trayvon Martin happened, I don't think I was even aware enough to know that. But I do remember around the 7th grade, 6th grade, that's when Mike Brown happened. And I didn't know anything about it, but I had a Black African American history teacher. And he asked, like, who's Mike Brown? And I was in there like, I don't know. I don't know at all. And then he was like, okay, well, that's your assignment. Tonight you go home and you figure out who he is, and you come back tomorrow and you be ready to tell us about it. And just being in the 6th grade, answer that question, I was like, wow, this is happening to people. And at a young age, I was never exposed to that being a female. My mother made sure of it too. I was in a good school, so I've never seen that hand on hand. So having to go home and read, like, of course I'd heard about slavery, but I wasn't aware that it was still going on. Mm-hmm. So just being in that 6th grade, thinking everything is a fairy tale in this world that I'm living in, coming to find out, like, this boy got shot for just walking.
And I want to bring you in, Charisma. Thank you she kept logging in. Look, persistence pays. And how were you surprised by the anger that was visible this past week, and your thoughts on the looting that took place as a result? And she was just moving. Y'all saw that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, poor thing. Yeah. And so, and I
really want to have you part of it. I mean, I guess we're gonna try again.
Yeah, we'll keep trying. And so, Jonathan, we started talking about the looting a little bit. Hey, everybody, and please post questions and comments to our young people. We have Jonathan and Akela here. Jonathan's 16, Kayla's 17, and they live in the communities that have been touched by all of this. And we're talking to them about how they feel about what is happening. So please post questions, concerns. And so the looting, were you surprised that a lot of folks your age were involved in it?
I'm really not surprised because I already told my parents, I hope, I was on the phone with a friend. I said, I hope Philadelphia do not start rioting because they do not know how to riot. And this was a following trend. You saw the looting in Atlanta. And then people said, people in Philly, because I'm not on Instagram, so I didn't really see any of the posts. But it was just like I knew it was going to happen. You have one of those moments like you knew it was going to happen and you know how it's going to happen. I'm a week away from being 17. I'll be 17 next Wednesday. And I know that the age group of 17 and 18 that, people use social media to get, they want to do a meetup or something, they get it and they do it. But to tear up stuff in your own neighborhoods is crazy. My father was on the phone with my grandfather. And he said that they had burnt, when 1968 happened of the killing of Martin Luther King, how they rioted and looted the Susquehanna area, and it took them years to build up. You have to separate yourself. You have some looters who are part of the protest who are angry. Then you got some that are like, the peaceful protest. Then you got the looters who don't even know what they're looting for or know, and I'm not going to say that's their fault. It's the educational system that we have in America. And, for people of color and people in the city and how they give us this, war, watered down textbook of education, and then they need to teach us what do looting come from, what, like, they need to teach us these terms in school and start teaching it young, so when people actually do it, they know what they're doing it for. And I'm not too big on you tearing up your own community, because where are you going to go shop? You got to think about your grandparents, your like the older generation, what they're going to do if they can't go out.
And so, Kayla, I know that there were multiple elements, and Jonathan kind of touched on it. And you guys have a real understanding of all the different people that are out there. Could you break it down for us?
Okay. So I know that we just talked a couple of days ago, and I just want to let you know my whole perspective has changed.
Okay.
Just after talking to my stepdad, who's really involved in this, I no longer want to refer to it as looting, because I don't know if you remember, but a couple of days ago when they were doing the looting, I did say that I was against them tearing down, the stores inside their own community, but I was still like not really against them because of these bigger corporations, and that's who they need to hear. So yeah, I'm like, it's messed up, but it's messed up that they're taking lives. So I no longer want to refer to it as looting. I refer to it as rebellion. These people are angry, and they're showing the way that they want these people to hear their cries. They're hurt. How many sacrifices do we have to go through? How many actual sacrifices do we have to go through before you hear us? Yeah, I get it. It's horrible that we're ruining stores. It's horrible that they're taking away jobs.
Yeah.
Horrible. And I'm not even trying to justify that, but it's horrible that people that swear to protect us are not doing their job. Instead, they're taking them away. They're taking away our lives. Like, that's not okay with me. Like, at all. It doesn't sit right with me at all. And I feel like whatever needs to be done for African Americans and the African American community to be respected in this country, in this world, will be done. It's not okay. I know a lot of people are saying peaceful protests, but and they refer back to Martin Luther King. But laws really weren't changed until 10 days after Martin Luther King died, where riots were on a rampage in 110 cities, I believe. Don't come to me about a peaceful protest when people's lives are at risk. How many sacrifices is our community going to have to sit back and watch? And now they're being broadcasted, but how many was it when they weren't? So yeah, I'm definitely not for them, going inside of our communities and tearing down each other, especially of a community that we built up. But now it's like, what are we going to be willing to sacrifice to get what we need to get heard? And I feel like a lot of people are only focusing on the wrong of what the Black community is doing right now. You're acting like fools. You're burning down stores. You just wanting to loot. But you can't speak for everybody that really feels some type of way about that death. It didn't happen to me, and I felt that. I couldn't even watch that video. I felt that. Like, to me, it was deep. I was willing to get out there and burn a couple stores down naturally because I wanted them to feel what I felt. And how would they feel it? Money, financials. You take those big corporations down, and they're gonna start to feel it because that's what's valuable to them. But to me, it's my community,
Yeah.
and honestly, I'm willing to do what needs to be done for this community. So at first I was for calling it looting. Yeah, they're taking things, they're ruining it, but I don't even see it as that anymore. I see it as a rebellion.
Mm-hmm.
People are crying out for help, and then they try to justify it with black on black crime, but you can't say because Black people were killing Black people that they don't have other races killing each other, and you don't see cops going inside of their neighborhoods taking them down. There's no reason that officers can come in people's houses, kill them, shoot at them, and then not be held accountable
Yeah.
because I made a mistake. Oh, I
Yeah.
made a mistake.
Yeah.
That's a big mistake.
That
Taking away somebody's life. Oh, you made a mistake on taking away somebody's life. That's a mistake. No, you need to be held accountable for that. And
yeah. And I want to
people are angry.
And I want to point out there that I think explains the anger because um, one of the things that I don't think, and we have here Delana Wardlaw, hi doctor. She says protesters and looters are two different groups of people with two different agendas, and so
Mm-hmm.
I think what Akela is trying to do is separate the people
Oh,
who
for
are
sure.
using what many would call looting as a
Mm-hmm.
form of protest. So some people are just out
But
there
yeah, I'll still do like my three groups breakdown. Yeah.
breaking.
Okay. So I put these people into three groups. To me personally, just being from a team from Instagram, watching everything that's going on, you have pure protesters. People that are out there to protest and get their voice heard, with their signs, with their marching, just speaking. Then you have people that are now angry, the rebellers. That's what I'm going to call them. The people that will rebel and show that through looting, which I know consider no longer consider looting, but more so rebellion. You have them. They're willing to go the extra mile to show how angry they are. Like, yeah, we'll get out here and march and protest and speak. Oh, but we're going to show you now. And then you have the people just trying to make a come up. They're like, we know that people are going to get out here ready to cause destruction. Let me get what I can get out of this. We don't really, like we care, but we don't care too much. Let me get what I can get and go. It's
Yeah,
three groups, but just because you have that one group of people that are purely out there to get that come up, you can't avoid those other two that are hurt, that are screaming out for the cries, that are actually feeling this pain. Because if everybody was a rebeller, when every store got locked up, if everybody was just a looter, they only wanted to come up. When the stores got locked up, cardboard, and you couldn't get into them, they wouldn't go down in the rebel. But they did. They still did, and they're still out there.
yeah,
Protests are still being held. I was even riding past today. I seen a protest in front of a Chinese shop. I'm like, well, what did the Chinese shop do? But they were protesting out there with their signs. I know that there's one coming up on Saturday with
yeah,
youth led, peaceful
yeah,
protest. We're still hurt by this, and we're not going to stop. It was messed up when they started attacking the black on black businesses. That was pure wrong.
yeah,
But we're not going to stop. We're just not. I feel like we watched too long our people be hurt by this system.
yeah,
And John was talking about this is something I'm going to have to explain to my kids. I don't want to have to explain to my son that growing up in America, the system's against you. I named you this because I want you to be able to get those callbacks when they see your resume. I'm
Mm-hmm.
making sure you go to this school. I'm making sure you go to this school so that you got the advantage over your own people. I know that they're probably going to be a little racist to you, but I'm doing this for you because in America, you're not seen fair. Your skin color sets you back. Something you couldn't control, but it sets you back. And
yeah.
I can't apologize for it because it's been happening for years. But I just want to let you know, son, when you step into this world, you are a threat.
And
No.
I mean, this is real. I mean, and I have to say, you both have Jonathan, you both have a very clear understanding of all the pieces of this, probably more so than many adults. I think, and just your understanding that rebellion is a form of protest. The way that people are rebelling is a form of protest. And your thoughts about this in the aftermath, Jonathan? I mean, we're still. I mean, it seems like the momentum is still building with regard to the people who are protesting. So
Yeah.
when you saw what happened, I mean, were you angry or were you like, you know what? I hope this makes change.
I was angry, and then I was saying that I hope it makes change.
Mm-hmm.
And it seemed like every killing, every police brutality we hear, the presidencies are patching it up. You know, it's like a water leak that you have. It's like you put it, you keep patching it up and patching it up, patching it up until one day it's going to explode. And I felt like under the Obama administration, we did see a lot of police killings. And, you know, I'm not criticizing Obama, his administration. He was a very good president, but you saw it got patched up, patched up, patched up. And then we get the Trump presidency, who's a fascist and a white nationalist. Sorry to say that, but it's just like you tweet out and say you're going to bring out vicious dogs. You're going to do stuff like that. That's what makes me angry. Is when you have a leader of this country says you're going to do these things, and you know he saw the videos of what happened, or he lived through it, of what African Americans had to go through. Why, you know, African Americans are angry. And when I first saw it, I cried. I literally cried, and I was like, could that happen to me? Driving and just getting pulled over. You seen it with Philando Castile when he got pulled over for driving. He was in a car, I think, with his girlfriend and his daughter, and got shot and killed in Minnesota. And it was just the glass was over. It got overfilled. That this was the tipping point, because you had Breonna Taylor who was killed, Ahmaud Arbery who was killed, and then you have George Floyd killed, and we all found about it in the month of May.
Yeah.
And then it's just like,
we home from the pandemic. It's like, perfect time to protest.
Mm-hmm. And even the pandemic, if we really look, who is it killing? African Americans. They didn't really show. I seen it on Facebook that it was a lady who lost her husband and her son in Detroit. And that was just very heartbreaking. We have a pandemic that is killing Black people, and then we have police brutality. Oh, that was just to put it over the top. It was like, it's time, it's time to get out here and protest. It's time, and it's making people angry. And then you have some people who are like against everything. It's because they're doing it because they want, that social media gain. They want their clout. They want it. They're not actually using their platform for justice or anything. Sometimes people use their platform just to say, okay, I'm gonna just say the negative part, about it, instead of looking on the positive part. And that's what people don't understand. And I know, like, the older generation, sometimes they be upset and anything, and I understand that they help build it, but we can also help build it back too. You forget that young people can help build it back too, and we can help everything.
And I'm gonna just go to a couple of these comments for you. We have Delana Wardlaw. She says, we have to protest in an effective manner and elect officials that will have our community interests as a priority and implement change at the policy and law level at local, state, and federal level. Voting is part of it. Voting is definitely part of it. Michelle says, powerful, what you all have been saying today. Charito Morales says, the revelation was overdue to all the injustice in our communities and oppression from our officers of the law, but we can continue with the looting or with the negative behavior. I think we cannot. I think she probably meant we cannot. And then Uppy Stone says, yep, they're going to learn to keep their knees off our necks. Because that, I think the anger that, so many people experience. And I think this was something across all races. And we're going to switch gears in just a couple of minutes. But I want to say, do you think, because racism, to end racism, it requires all the races to come together and decide that we're going to end it. Do you think,
Right.
and white people are a big part of this, do you think when you see so many white people participating and people who are non-Black participating, does it give you hope? How does that make you feel? Do you think that they now care?
I feel like to me, it's nice to. I think that to me, to see so many other races out there, it's nice to see that we're not alone. We're not the only people that see that our race is the one that's really being pinpointed and being, held down in this country. So to me, just seeing all these races come together, even our own, forming like unity and really protesting that we are being treated wrong, it feels great. Because now I know that we're not the only people that see it's something going on. It really is something going on. And we're going to keep going until it is right.
Yeah. Do you feel that sense of hope? Because and I just want to point out that there has been progress this week. The charges against that officer who put his knee in George Floyd's neck have been upgraded. First, it was third-degree murder. Now it's second-degree murder. The other 3 officers that both of you mentioned just stood there are now charged with aiding and abetting murder. Also, we were protesting here. The Rizzo statue was removed, and guess what? The government has announced today that he will appoint a special commissioner over police to deal with the issue of excessive force. Do you feel like that all that has happened, as crazy as it has been, that maybe, just maybe, it's going to be worth it?
Yeah, I'm gonna say that.
Go ahead, John.
I'm gonna say that it is. I'm gonna say it's going to be worth it. I would love to see progress in America, but one thing that this country has to accept is the sin of slavery and racism. That is what's still haunting us today. Once the white supremacies who are feeling the fire and then running away from it, once they accept their sin, that it is a sin on this country of racism and slavery, once they accept that and what they did to the indigenous people of this land, once they accept that, we can move forward. And we are going to move forward. It took this point for the governor to, have a special police commissioner to oversee excessive force is a great thing, but it shouldn't just stop there. We need to hold, the things that are accountable, because you got to remember, these things was recorded. Think about how many things, how many police brutalities that we have that are not recorded, that's still happening today as we speak, but we're not going to hear about it because the media don't want to cover every single one, is because they know what's going to happen. They know what this country is going to do. So just think about that.
And I want to give you just quick final word, just your advice. Because you both are very articulate. And what would you say to other young people who are maybe grappling and don't really understand it as clearly as you do, or do people, understand it? Because it seems like we got to move forward. We got to heal. And how do we do that? And if you could just do it really, really quick so we can transition. Go ahead, Akela, and then I'll give you final word, Jonathan. What can we do to heal?
I feel like just coming together. Like, if we stand together as a community and these other races are joining with us and we continue to march, we don't have to do the looting part, but we continue to march and showcase and demand what we want, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, even this past week, we've seen what happens when we demand what we want and you bring it to these people's attention. That's how you heal. You start to heal when you see change being made. And I think that's the only way you can heal, because, we're not going to heal with them just saying, guys, we heard you.
Yeah.
The change being made, but the only way change is going to be made is because we're demanding it. And we're going to come together and demand it. Like, they are scared and terrified of that. And continue to generate knowledge inside of your community, because knowledge is power. So when you know, there you go.
Jonathan, two sentences, Jonathan.
Yeah. 2 sentences. Okay, I'm sorry.
2 sentences, Jonathan. Last word. I think he froze.
Can you hear?
Okay. Yeah, 2 sentences.
Well, I'm gonna say that I think wait, what was your question? I forgot.
Just how do we heal? 2 sentences. Yeah, if you keep it short.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, so how do we heal? We're going to heal by, education. That is the most a powerful, educated black man and black woman is going to heal things, because once they start to see everything, it's going to be the danger through the threat to a white man. And I'm going to let you know, and I'm going to leave that right there.
All right. Well, I want to say thank you to both of you. You guys have been great. Akayla Brown and Jonathan Boston McCray. I'm sorry we couldn't get Charisma Faulkner on here. Tell her thank you for sharing, trying to be a part of this conversation. Good luck to both of you, and I hope that we can stay in touch, because you never know, we may need to bring these topics up again. But thank you so much for your input. We really appreciate you.
You're welcome.
All right.
I'll have a good night. All right, y'all. I'm going to transition. I'm going to bring in 2 gentlemen to our discussion as we continue to talk about this anger that has fueled the protests, that has fueled some of the rebellion. And I have to give it to Akayla. She kind of schooled me and said that it's not always looting for everybody. Some people did that in rebellion to stick it to the powers that be, right? And so let me just go over a couple of these conversations. Terrence says, I love when the youth are involved in the conversation. Yes. And it says, Charicho says, because if something is affecting the African-American communities, it's also affecting us, the Latinx communities. We are African descendants and the new generation that is outcrying for equality and justice for all. We are all in this together. That we are. And so I want to bring in my guest here. I have Daiwan Williams and I have Ricky Duncan. Thank you guys for being here, and welcome to Real Talk with Cherri. How y'all doing?
How you doing, Cherri? Thanks
How
for
you
having
doing
us.
this evening, Cherri? Thanks for having us. And
Yeah.
thanks to the young sister and that young brother that just left off of here too.
They were
Super.
excellent, right?
Very
were
highly
super.
intelligent. And
Yeah.
I must say, Cherri, that if that's the future, man, I'm gonna sleep good tonight. They represented well. They articulated themselves. You know what I mean? And that's just a blessing, man. That just sent chills through my spine hearing them young people speak like that.
It feels really good to know we are in good hands. I want to let everybody know that Ricky Duncan and Daiwan Williams, they run an organization called the NOMO Foundation. They work to find new options and more opportunities for youth. And we'll talk more about the organization in just a second. But I want to tee this up because I know both of you have kind of dealt with the issues that are the center of this debate that everybody's protesting for. And Daiwan, because I've known you longest, I met you 4 years ago, and you were being stopped repeatedly by police. Now, explain what was going on with you.
Well, at the time, it was a time in the country that's sort of like, what we just seen, for the last couple months or so, where it was a lot of traffic stops and they wasn't ending very well. And so for me myself, I was getting pulled over, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times a week sometimes. And just like the youth that just left the call, I wasn't recording each and every one of them. And then one time on my way to see my brother, who's now home from federal prison, I was stopped by the Williamsport PD, and he wanted to search my car, and I just wasn't having it. The ancestors wasn't having it that day. And that's how, you and I, we kind of...
we met because your video...
No, actually, no.
Somebody tagged me.
Nah, we didn't meet with that.
We met before that.
We met bringing brothers home through the FACT program.
That's true. That is true.
We were there when a brother came home, Kareem.
Yeah, and then somebody tagged me on these videos. Your video went viral. And just to summarize, you guys, he had been stopped like 20 times in 3 months and had Facebook Live several of those incidents. And it was so compelling because most people don't get to see it happening repeatedly like that. And so we have people who are not Black who thought that driving while Black wasn't a real thing, that it was a real thing. And so this is part of the protest, though. This is because, and tell me, what is it like to live in these communities and to be treated this way?
I mean, go ahead, Rick, you answer that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, like the one just spoke about. We run a program, PA Fact Families and Children Together, like reuniting families from incarcerated parents. So it's like in these streets, are you really free? It's like you're still incarcerated. Like you literally watching your back. If you're not in the streets and watching your back for someone trying to do something to you, you're out of the streets. You still got to watch your back from people that's supposed to protect you, and that's like a catch-22 because we got a lot of men out here that's living their life on some type of supervision, you know what I mean? Or some just have some type of mental health you know what I mean, transition that they're going through, you know, with some type of mental health disease. But if you constantly scared of the people that's supposed to protect you, how do you live? Like, how do you live normally? Because every day, you know, I'm not saying all cops are bad cops, but how do you differentiate between the two? Or should you take that chance? And then we got a lot of black brothers and sisters, and not just black brothers, we got a lot of civilians that's being killed from the police, not because they're armed and dangerous, but they're running away from the armed and dangerous. They're running away because they like, listen, it's a dark block right here. I don't know what you're going to do to me back here. I don't know how this is going to end up. So they run and then they shoot them in their back and they say that, you know, this guy was a threat. You know, he pointed a water gun. He reached for a cell phone or whatever the situation might be. So, I mean, it's a very traumatic, dangerous situation living, well, you know, I'm going to say living while black and living while going against the blue. Because I'm gonna honestly say that it's not a black and white thing. It's a black and blue thing. You know, it's a white, black, and blue thing. Like they have their own. The way I see it now is the cops like they literally have their own race. You know what I mean, or their own union. That is like you can't break this code because how I look at it is, like I said, it's not all bad cops. But if you got 50 cops and you good cops and you got 50 bad cops, and those 50 good cops don't make them 50 bad cops stand accountable for their actions, you still got 100 bad cops.
Yeah. And that has to be because I think about it and I've seen all kinds of videos. Because in addition to just living, you're seeing these videos. And is it triggering? And what does it do to you just as a person just trying to live, go to work, come home, take care of your kids?
Well, I mean, myself from experience, it's like, yo, here I am, turn my life around, a part of the solution, no longer part of the problem. We out here, we doing the right thing. You know, we're finally paying our debt to society because prison was not your debt to society. That was a punishment for a crime. You know, that was a price to pay for a crime. So now when you're back out in the community actually doing the work, you're actually repaying your debt to mankind. So when you're doing the right thing and you're going to work and you got a paycheck and a bank account and all that kind of stuff, and you're still being harassed, like, no, I know you doing something. I know you don't have a license. I know you got a gun in the car. I know just something. It becomes frustrating because it's like, yo, no matter what, you're never forgiven in the eyes of, you know, certain individuals of the law. And like my partner said, it's not everybody. And for me, it's not even black or blue. It's not black or white. It's not green or white. It's right and wrong. When your partner is standing there doing something unjust, when your partner got his foot on somebody's neck, when your partner is harassing somebody, you have a duty by the laws of God, the laws of nature, to correct that. Yo, come on, chill. Yo, come on. We ain't doing all that today.
Yeah, they recently had a sister on. I don't know if you caught that, Cherri. It was on Instagram, and it was a sister. She was a cop though, and the other cop was getting out of line, and she had to check him. And they like, yo, it took a woman to do that. Like she had to check. Like we ain't
Right,
doing that. Like you're not about to
right.
do this with me because I think this set case precedent by them charging all those cops. It was needed. No, why it's needed because now just same way that we're accountable. This is what they call in the law. The law is if you knowingly is in possession or in an area of something when an act of crime is being committed, you are charged with conspiracy. That means you had the ability to stop what was about to occur, stop it while it was occurring.
There you
So
go.
why not the cops being held in this same conspiracy charge? You
And
know, if you start charging more of them,
yeah,
it's going to be a problem.
because I think that one of the arguments that I've heard people say repeatedly was, look, people always point to black on black crime, but in cases of black on black crime, if the person gets caught, they go to jail. They get charged with the crime, they go to jail. But in these cases, when it's police, excessive force, et cetera, people feel helpless and really upset because there is no repercussions. There's no
Exactly.
consequence to actions. Is that that's sort of the sentiment here?
No, yeah, I think you got to use common sense when it's a common sense. Like, it's no way that I could did what that man did and somebody witnessed it and I not be
No way.
immediately charged.
No way.
You got to immediately charge, because there's no way you can see me pull a trigger and say, well, let me see what was on his mind when he choked this boy out, when he put his neck on, or his foot on his neck, his knee on his neck. No, that's clear murder, clear violence. At minimum, it's an assault charge. At bare minimum.
Let me say
At
this,
two,
Rick.
once he died, it's a murder. Go ahead, Mark.
Hey, Rick, we talking 9 minutes, Ricky. 9 minutes, a handcuffed black man is on the ground, on his chest for 9 minutes. And nobody around you that's put here to protect us, to protect the people. Nobody around you have a problem with that. Nobody say, yo, all right, come on, we got him now. Nobody says anything. So now I want to transition into the conversation that Cherri just had with this generation. Because my opinion, as far as I'm concerned, yeah, it matters. We the council now, but what I got to say on this call don't matter. It's their world now. So based on what I'm hearing now is they don't want to hear that no more. They don't want to see that no more. When with all due respect, they're not promoting violence. They're not saying that, you heard what the young lady just said. That was rebellion. That wasn't just stealing and being out jeopardizing your freedom and all that stuff. Y'all not going to keep locking our fathers up and sending them away to prison for 30 and 40 and 50 years when they never even got out the car and never even committed a crime. Y'all not going to keep beating our grandmothers and mothers upside the head with bully clubs and put your German shepherds and water hoses on them. That generation just spoke. I'm old lion now. My claws don't scratch as good. My teeth don't bite and all that stuff. The young lions, the new Thundercats, just laid down the law these last week. Now, we ain't got to like it and we ain't got to co-sign to none of that.
Yeah.
But moving forward in the future, things have to be different. In order to heal, you must acknowledge.
And I got to get your thoughts on this, because when you saw, because one of the things, and I would want to ask y'all this question. We saw in South Philly, they had billy clubs. They was willing to stand out there and make sure nobody, looted their community. Why didn't people in the black community? Why didn't people in West Philly and North Philly and wherever? Why didn't Southwest do that? Why didn't we?
We don't own that. Why would they be standing there protecting their stuff? Them people got top of the line insurance. Okay, we keep saying, listen, with all due respect, we keep saying we tearing up the community. We don't own nothing. Them people don't. Most people that was out there don't own nothing.
No, I think she's talking more along the lines of the black store. Are you talking about the black-owned stores, Cherri?
Or just they stood out there protecting their community, and I'm asking y'all, like,
no, I don't think they
even protecting it that way.
No.
With Billy Club, could we have
listen? If I would have stood out there with a bat, they would have locked me up. Again,
that's number one. That's first and foremost.
They would have locked me up. And if I would have talked about what I was going to smoke at somebody, they locked me up for something as a charge called terroristic threats. So now, that was like, it's not. We don't even gonna get a chance to do that, because, like you said, that's when the tear gas come in. That's when they start knocking you in your head. That's when they tell you they got the rights to do what they want. This thing went on, and again, it's not people that I don't think that really everyone's being proactive. They're being reactive. They're reacting to the fact that these hurt people are now hurting people. Now, what's happening is a lot of the stuff is going on. I hate to say it, but I've been out there marching. I've been out there speaking. I've been putting program after program in effect, going to City Hall, meeting at the City Hall, chat and choose. We set up the OVP, violence prevention. I'd have been in every round table that they have. And nothing changed like things changed with these kids, what they just done. And I hate to say it, I don't promote it, but at the end of the day, I didn't get none of those answers. I done gave out a lot of hot dogs and a lot of hamburgers, and I had a lot of events. Yep. And I done walked miles and miles in these shoes, but I didn't get the results that they got.
So basically, y'all are basically saying, is this is the generation looking at the teens, looking at Z's and young millennial, the young millennials saying, y'all got results, even though
You got to respect that. I don't like what we don't have to like. You don't have to like what went on.
They
But
did
this
more than I
generation
got.
voice was heard. They said we ain't look. I don't want to disrespect, but they said we not, singing spirituals and all that stuff. We not doing none of that kind of stuff. That's what they said.
Man, that
I'm just
Rizzo
living in the moment
statue
right now.
that I seen a post today from a good friend of mine, right? Timothy Curtis, right? I seen that he gave us some history on that Rizzo stuff, right? Good friend of
Yeah.
ours, Timothy Curtis. He gave us some history on it. They've been slipping. That stuff was supposed to come down since 2016, 17. And every week it's coming down next week. Oh no, we were changing my. Then we found out it was a backstory to that. Good sister Jane Gold, she did comment about it was a lot of backstories to that wasn't public, but it was false promises. Now that the clear blue sky, we got immediate action. Statue coming down overnight. Because what happened first? What happened first was they attacked the statue. The first thing that they cleaned up in Philadelphia was that statue. So you know what Philadelphia said? Well, we're going to give you day 2 of the same thing with a little heavier dose. And now they said the third day, the statue's not there no more. We got to get rid of this statue. Because you disrespected us by going out there and letting that be the first. You didn't clean our communities. You didn't clean Center City. You cleaned that statue.
And we're going to take a couple minutes before we wrap up. But I want to ask you this question because I wanted to see, do you think this statue is now gone? And also, when I point out that my story today, the mural in South Philly is now going to come down. And the folks said they're going to paint it over and everything like that. They're going to find something new. And so, and do you think that the city, how do you think the city did? And you guys live in this community. You live there. You saw it. It's impacted you all. Do you think the city did less to protect the neighborhoods than it did Center City? Or do you feel like they could have done more to protect the neighborhoods?
I think those National Guards that was protecting Rizzo statue could have been protecting some of these communities.
Period. Now, since you want to stop the loot, now let me say this for clarity, because a lot of people on my watch party, that I highly respect are asking questions, and I have to provide clarity for my old head Dow. He said they don't have to own the stores and have good insurance to protect the community that you live in, or maybe it's something that he's not getting. That's not what I said. What I'm saying is, why would a group of African-American people be standing in front of a Target or Walmart protecting it when that Target or Walmart got top of the line insurance and everything that's damaged in there is going to be replaced? And at a time where a statement is being made, so like the youth said, not me, the youth said it wasn't about looting. It was rebellion. It was a statement being made. You will no longer continue to disrespect Black and brown people and get away with it. We're not condoning it, but all I'm saying is the youth have spoken. Thank you.
I say action spoke louder than words because I've been talking a lot. And at the end of the day, like I said, I got to give props where props is due.
Period.
Generation got now. Those kids, they stepped up, they showed out, they got results, and they calmed down. So evidently, I'm gonna agree with Caleb because I say they were rebellion because after they got results start happening, violence stopped. They say no justice, no peace, right?
Yeah.
When we start getting justice, the peace came. Yesterday was a great solid march. It was a great one because we start seeing results. And I'm gonna say one more thing in closing, like what you talk about restoring the community today. The men of No More PA Fact, Mormac, men of resistance making a change, which we went out there today because we knew that we knew that the ShopRites was not open yet. We knew that they wasn't done. So we set out there today in 90 degrees. We cleaned the blocks up and we gave out fresh produce today to everybody that came up. We gave out 500 boxes of fresh produce to give back to the community.
And also drove the elders around, Ricky, to make sure they vote and everything. The same thing Dr. King and them did when they said, we not riding the bus. We walking. We not doing it. We coming together. So we understand that you can't go to the store right here, but this is where the village come together at.
Yeah. And I just, and I want to thank you both for being on Real Talk with Cherri and talking about this issue. I mean,
and thanks for having us, Cherri.
Yes, and at this point, we gotta heal. We gotta heal.
We have to.
And I want to my last question to you before we transition to our final segment is, does the fact that this had to happen, that all this happened in order to get results? Does it say something about the leadership? Should this be a message to leadership that, maybe you should listen to people before it gets to this point?
Stop giving us head service. Stop giving me the nod of the head and yeah, I got you. Those got you something. So start listening to the people, because the people have been complaining and speaking and making it right for years. Like, we got to invest in the things that need invested in.
Yeah.
I think Office of Violence Prevention does a great job in putting, grants back into the community, so people that doesn't have grassroots organizations can get their stuff up off the ground. But down at City Council and inside of City Hall as a unit, I'm not saying that they don't do great work too. But what I'm saying is we got to stop doing a lot of chat and shoes and head service and do more nodding and signing at the dotted lines and making sure that we have these resources and these things in our community and in place, that we don't feel offended, that we don't feel hurt, and we don't feel lost.
Thank you, Ricky. And we give that one a final word, and then we're going to close out.
I get a final word?
Final word. Keep it short.
All right. Now, this is my final word. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Thank you, Cherri, for having us. My partner, Rick, love you, bro. We do the best that we can. We've been doing the work. But what I have to say is not important. I want to highlight one thing, and I'm out of here. The youth have spoken. The youth made a statement, and they said they're not going for that no more. So regardless of what my personal opinion is on this, that, and the third, the youth said from here on out, you will respect people of color like you should have hundreds of years ago. Thank you for having us, Cherri.
Thank you very much. And this has been Ricky Duncan. And Daiwan Williams gave the final word. Ricky Duncan from No More Foundation. Thank you, gentlemen, for being on Real Talk with Cherri. I appreciate it. And good luck with all that you do in the community.
Thank you for having us, Cherri.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. And so you heard it. We talked to two young people, 16 and 17 years old. They told us that, some of the work that was done, that this looting wasn't actual looting in some cases. And in some of those cases, it was actually an act of rebellion. And then it stopped because some results came through. Thoughts on this, y'all? Put comments on this. What message does it send when the results come after all of this? Should leadership have made some moves before it got to this point? Now, I want to close with a gentleman whose videos you may have seen. He's been he does these inspirational videos, and they've gotten tens of thousands of views. Young brother by the name of Dana Williams. Remember that name. He works at the Brown ShopRite at Parkside, and he has a little bit of a different opinion on all this. And so I'll bring Dana in. Dana, how you doing?
I'm blessed and highly favored. How are you?
I'm good. Now, Dana, you at work right now?
Hey, man, I'm at work right now, man. At work right now. We actually closed in 2 minutes. So, yeah, I'm at work right now.
Awesome. So you kind of heard some of what was said here today. Dana Williams' inspirational videos gotten lots of views here. And shout out to our two previous guests. We had Daiwan Williams, we had Ricky Duncan.
Yes.
We had some youth on earlier. And
Yes.
then I want to get your thoughts. You've been giving your thoughts on what happened over the past few days. I want you to share with everybody.
So basically, and I don't disagree with anybody saying, I'm that type of person where I come through an agreement of unity and togetherness, and everybody's opinion is just in the right way because God laid it on their heart. I don't believe that nobody is wrong. I've worked with Mr. Duncan, and I've worked with Mr. Dewan, actually at YCNB's event, and they're both great men. That No whole organization is amazing. I want to start by saying that first. And my opinion on it is just the looting. It was outrageous. It was very outrageous, and it wasn't for justice to George Floyd, right? When we're talking about bringing a justice for somebody, I studied who George Floyd was. I took my time out to find out the kind of person he was: a godly man, a man of compassion, and a man of love. His brother got on TV and said, "This is not even the way to honor it." You tore up multiple stores that were in your community, right? And then I got backlash from some of my videos from some people saying, "Oh, why you go clean out the white community? Why you didn't go clean up the black community?" It's not about white or black or anything. It's just about coming together as one and doing something that's positive. And also, that man community that you looted, hires African Americans. I'm talking people that did 25 years in jail at Brown Saloon Shop, right? What I'm talking about. Give them second chances, manager positions, give scholarships to different churches in the neighborhood for young kids that can't afford to go to school. Every day he gives food to the homeless and perishables where he don't need no more so they can all eat, from every part and every location of the city. So when they were talking about looting and they were going in sneaker stores and they were going in clothes stores and getting washing machines and dryers, that's personal use. That's not justice. Justice is educating your black brother, your black sister, your Caucasian sisters, your Asian, any ethnicity about what's going on. How are we going to get the laws changed? How many people voted yesterday? What are we going to do together to make police brutality be a stop,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
You guys looted together, right? I seen more people looted. If I would have called somebody and said, we're going to King of Prussia Mall and we're going to take some things, they would have came with me. But I called and said, I'm going to go clean out 52nd and Market. I'm going to go clean 52nd and Parkside. It was me and my organization, 6 kids.
Yeah. But can you just respond to the fact that after all this madness, progress has been made? You see,
Yes.
an upgrade in the charges against the officer who knelt on the neck of George Floyd. You see all this progress. I mean, do you think the progress would have come without the madness?
Yes. What's wrong with a peaceful protest? I feel like the madness. I feel like you guys can loot to a certain extent. I feel like we took it overboard a little. Like put yourself in a business owner's shoes. Everybody say, "Well, it's insured. That's their stuff." But what if it was your business? We got to think of everything else and put ourselves into everybody else's shoes. You know what I mean? But I do agree with the fact of that. It did cause that to happen, right? Those other officers to be arrested. It did affect on a big thing for it to go from 3rd degree to 2nd degree. It did, but without the looting and everything that was going on, do I think it would have made a change? No, because the thing is, why did they stop looting? They were like, well, they stopped looting because the change happened. They stopped looting because the National Guard was at every destination that you were looting at. They didn't stop looting because if there's a store and they put it back up, they can throw another brick through and get what they want, right? And this goes into the world where in my generation, and this is why I preach God so much, man, and this is why I preach believing in your dream, tapping into your gift, because in my generation, we have an opioid addiction. If you think about, right, they went into pharmacies. They were still in Percocets, things for personal use. They're selling Hennessy online. They're selling sneakers online. You took that from that owner that worked his behind off, went to school, created that business, employed African Americans. That you guys say, oh well, why the white man? No, it's not white, it's not black, it's not nothing. Because Caucasians were out there rioting with us. Yeah. Caucasians were fighting with us. This went to every state worldwide. So this was personal use. This was what you wanted to do. This is what you wanted. I have on 54th and Burks in Winfield, we have a pharmacy, the only black-owned store in Winfield. In that area, in my community, they looted that for drugs, for opioids, to sell, for personal use. I just want people to sit back and think, what would God think?
Yeah. And so you've been speaking out against this. People have differing views. And part of what we do with Real Talk with Cherri is talk about all the points of view, because there's a lot of people who think differently to you. And I wanted to make sure we encapsulated all the viewpoints on this topic. And your videos, a lot of people agree with you.
Thank you.
And I mean, no, they do, because your videos are getting shared.
Yes, ma'am.
And things like that. And why do you think so many people don't see it the other way? Don't see the
I really can't
don't see the value of it or whatever. Yeah.
They don't really see the value. It's not that I don't even think it's that they don't see the value. If they're not in the community every day working with the people in the community, they will never understand. If they're just at home and they're not every day getting up in the community, seeing these elders that gets up every day and put into this community, right? You guys took the medicine from the elders, right? What about the babies that needed that Similac? You guys ran down on every Similac so you can go and sell it for $10, $50 cases.
Yeah.
Think about the people. Think about the food shortage that could have happened if Jeff Brown didn't move so quickly to get his business established and reopen. What if that could have hurted that man's heart and he could have felt like his community didn't care about him and West Philly don't have a supermarket anymore?
Yeah.
I understand that. Well, the youth said looting it brought change. The youth said looting it brought. It didn't. It didn't. It just made us look even more bad and made their opinion look even more worse on us.
Yeah.
Why can't we beat them with education? Why can't we beat them with mental? If you want to beat racism, you have to beat them with your intelligence. You can't beat it with violence. You can't beat it with shackles. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We've
Yeah.
tried.
And I got to ask you this, though. I mean, as a young Black man in communities, I mean, I've heard the stories. I mean, our young man who was on earlier, Jonathan, he talked about just the trauma of seeing Black men murdered, just the trauma of being in communities where on one hand, you're trying to, make sure you're safe from your own people and not getting shot by being a bystander or whatever. At the same time, you're nervous about police. And
Yes.
so they just, people got fed up. It was one too many things.
No, and I understand that you guys are nervous about what's going on in the streets. You guys are nervous about the police, and all of that. And it's not so much that, I don't even take the police side. I don't want to. What they did is horrible. What they've done over the years is horrible. But it has to come to a stance, right? I used to speak for the 19th district, where we try to get kids to come out where we can settle the tension. And it won't happen. And when kids in my age or in my generation see an officer, or even a white officer, F you, forget you, shut up, SMD, like all kind of disrespectful, the most disrespectful thing they could find to say, even if the officer's not doing anything to them, So it's on both streets. Both people have to hold themselves accountable.
Yeah.
Both people have to hold themselves accountable, right? Also with us as African Americans, right? Let's also hold ourselves accountable for harming each other on a daily basis, right? Last year, Philadelphia had 1 murder per day, 365 murders, right? Let's march and protest about us harming each other, because we can never beat racism, right? If we're not all here together, if we're taking each other from each other, we're killing dreams on the daily.
Yeah.
Now we got justice. We got justice for George Floyd. We got it. And it brought tears to my eyes because I'm happy. I'm delighted. Now let's bring justice to our Black men.
Yeah.
In these communities that's harming other Black men.
Yeah.
Let's bring justice to this now.
Yeah.
Kill them with education, not with guns.
So what's your vision for yourself?
So I've been a motivational speaker for about a year now, man, and my vision is just to preach. So what I do is my preaching is just put down the guns, pick up the books, right? I preach on education. I preach on believing in your dream. I preach on getting a relationship with God, because God has brought me thus far. People who know Philly motivation know I came from the struggle. I was in South Philly Projects. I was born in South Philly Projects, man. All right, my mom had a stroke and was paralyzed and could not talk when I was 7 years old. I was forced to lose my grandparents. My dad was in and out of the jail system. I was raised with my grandparents. My grandfather was the only father figure I knew. When I was 16 years old, I lost my grandfather on New Year's Day. New Year's will never be the same. Had to take care of my grandmother because she was heartbroken. Ended up getting my high school diploma from Overbrook High School. As I get my diploma from Overbrook High School, I end up going to Lackawanna College and playing football. Right? Lackawanna College, I used football to my advantage to get my education. I was the only Black kid in my major. In 112 years, no Black kid has ever graduated. My sophomore year, I lost my father, right? On the same day of a championship game, I lost my dad, right? Kept going. My grandmother lost the only 2 men she knew, her son and her husband, all she had. So while I'm at school, I can hear my grandma heartbroken every single day. But my grandma said, I want you to get that degree. And I made sure that I got my grandmother that degree. I was the first African-American kid to graduate from my major in communication arts at Lackawanna. First African-American kid in 112 years. 4 days later, my heart, my hero, my best friend, my grandmother passes away. I have no father, I have no grandparents, and my brother was shot and killed 9 times.
Wow.
But I still wake up every day by the grace of God, telling the kids to put down the guns, focus on your education. As long as you tap into your gift and tap into your blessing, anything is possible. Because God won't leave you nor forsake you. Don't look to the left nor to the right, but look to your dreams and your goals, and He will make everything possible.
Well, on that note, Dana, I'm telling you, I feel like you are destined to do something great. And I wish the best for you. I had Mont Brown on a couple weeks ago, and he told me he got a lot of his cane early.
Yes.
And so he's riding high now. He lives in LA. He's working A&R for Columbia Records. But he had a rough upbringing, you know, and he said he felt like he had all the pain early, and now he was just waiting for all the blessings, and all the blessings are stacked up. So I feel like that's gonna be you too. Just the blessings rolling through.
Thank you.
And so I want to thank you for coming on Real Talk with Cherri. Thank you for sharing your powerful story and your words of inspiration and your point of view on all that's happening right now. Where can people follow you?
Thank you. You guys can follow me on Instagram at Phillies Motivation. You guys can follow me on Facebook at Dana Williams. I also want to tell you guys, thank you guys for sharing the video. Thank you guys for supporting me. Thank you for all the words of encouragement, the DMs, everything, man. You guys are supporting me to the fullest. And I love you guys, and I couldn't express it enough. I thank you. Like I said, I agree with everybody's opinion. Nomo, you guys are amazing. All the kids in Nomo, you guys are amazing. Cherri, you're even more amazing. I'm thankful for you, and I'm thankful for the blessing that you put on other people's lives. Now, let's make a difference. Let's make a change, y'all. Come on.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, now you're off work officially. You have
go home.
Yes, you have a wonderful evening. You get home safely, and thank you so much for being on Real Talk with Cherri. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
All right, y'all. Good show today. I really love talking to young people about what has been happening. Shout out to Akela Brown and to Jonathan Boston McCray, for coming on Real Talk with Cherri. Thank you to Daiwan Williams and Ricky Duncan of No More Foundation for being here today. And finally, thank you to Dana Williams for sharing his inspirational story and journey. We've talked about this issue of justice reform. We've talked about the need for change in communities of color and this protest from the point of view of people of color, Black people who live in the communities here in Philadelphia that have been devastated by the recent riots, that have also been living with some of the oppression that people have been talking about. So I hope you enjoyed this program. This has been Real Talk with Cherri. It airs live streams every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday at 8 o'clock. I will be doing that for the rest of the summer. And so I appreciate you. If you could tag a friend and share this video, I would really appreciate it. My name is Cherri Gregg, and this has been Real Talk with Cherri. You guys have a wonderful evening. I'll see you on Monday, same time. Bye.